Hello. It's Friday evening in the Bay Area of California, and I'm Patricia O'Connor with Frida Reba Darcy, and we've got a little bit going on. As you can see, I've got boxes, and I've got boxes that have shown up, and I've got hardware store runs that I've made, and we're accumulating bits and pieces for our next bonsai balcony project, which I pretty well discussed in length in our last video. So I thought, seeing how it was Friday afternoon, I would sit underneath the cypress trees and catch everybody up on where we are and what we have going on with all my guys. Everybody here is looking pretty happy. I had a bout of PM, powdery mildew, which some of you may know is the California state bird, I think, is powdery mildew. I think that's what I heard. No, that's bad information. Okay. So anyway, it didn't look the same as what I was used to. In other words, I didn't recognize it on my oak trees right off. And I didn't notice the spider mites either, because I'm used to them just like flocking trees. And if they don't make them look like that, I just didn't even recognize that I had them. So we got rid of all those critters. And I have pruned back somewhat these 3 cypress trees. Now, about that, at some point, don't they look, to change the subject, but don't they look good? I mean, I normally don't like fluorescent light, but at this time of the evening with the purple sky, these guys from the living room just glow. They look gorgeous. Anyway. I've got a little bit of decisions to make, and not necessarily right now, but I'm just wanting to make you guys aware. When I got these trees, I think I told y'all in another video before, the 2 outside trees came from a supplier in Louisiana who sells pre-bonsai material, and I got those 2 guys from him. The one in the center came from someone doing a similar thing, but I got it from the guy who got it from a guy who did that. In other words, yeah, so it had been here, the one in the center had been here for 4 or 5 years anyway. The guy I got it from bought it from somebody or got it in Louisiana somehow. So they all 3 came from Louisiana, just several years apart. Also, this one has buttresses on it that I've been told by some guys that have been doing this longer than I, that the container grown trees, I was told don't do that. So that might be an indication that this was a Yamadori tree at one point. Like I was told these guys would do little knuckle looking little things, but they would never do that heavy buttressing as container grown trees. But anyway, there's something else that cypress trees do that everybody who grows these, and it's that they you have to pinch them every year. They just fill up, the trunk will just bust out with, like, you know, dozens and dozens of these little things. And it's really, it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. It's like you're not going to have to sit around and typically wait for a branch to come popping out someplace where you really wish one would. The odds are pretty good that if you just wait a minute, it'll show up. And so every year you pinch, as they say, you pinch back most of those things. But as you can see, the guy I got this tree from had done some wiring and training. The branches that he had selected to keep, he had cut back short, like so. But he had also wired them and put motion in them. There's this one, and this one, and there was probably one on the back that I may have cut. You know, and that, when you do that, and combined with pointing them down, keeps them short, and then that's how you do ramification in the traditional Japanese bonsai sets. That, and like I said, having them point down, having the branches come down. However, if you were to type in bald cypress bonsai, or maybe even flat top cypress bonsai, you would see that a lot of people in America do these trees in a way that is more indicative of how they look in the wild. In other words, if a little person went walking up below this tree and then looked up, one thing they wouldn't see is a whole lot of what I like to call twigification or ramification. You would see a lot of really long, really straight limbs, not a lot of heavy branching. They just don't do that. They shoot out prolific amounts of straight limbs and then shed all the ones, and then shed a lot of them. They're just constantly making, like as I've said in one video before, these things in the wild are constantly making walking sticks and canes and whatever else you might need, because they just make all of those straight limbs. So if you do one that is a flat top, it might have a branch in it that forks off like this, and you would let that grow to hardwood, and it would have almost very, very little branching. In other words, you're going to show that off like a real long, lovely leg or something. You're not really bragging so much about all the directions in the trunk. It's just like a missile. It's just this sleek, thing going straight up, but then it has that fork at the top where it had damage somewhere in a storm or whatever, and that's what causes it to do that flat top thing. That is in direct opposition to having all of the limbs go straight down in the Japanese bonsai sense of the word. Now, if you were to go to YouTube and look at all of those cypress trees, like I have spent many, many hours doing, you'll see some guys that really love these trees, and some of them have got great examples of both the Japanese bonsai style and a formal upright, which is shaped like a Christmas tree shape or like a hard triangle shape, versus the American bonsai flat top bald cypress. So I would say the amount of time it's going to take for the tree to turn this and this and this and then that one in the back into legitimate taper means that I have a year or two, to decide which way I'm going to go with basically the rest of this, because it's prolific. I can decide now, or I can decide later. The way I'm thinking right now is there is one that I've seen that's absolutely beautiful in the Japanese style. And I wasn't originally thinking that. I was originally thinking I would do this American bonsai style. But you know what? They're so easy to grow that you should not shy away from trying to do the more traditional stuff with it, because it'll lend itself very well to that. I mean, these trunks, just look at that. The thing by itself will make an excellent wedge shape, just in that. And when you take the foliage and that complements with that, it's a really pretty look, as is the flat tops. So in case you haven't figured out, I'll probably change my mind as to whether these guys are going to be flat tops or whether they're going to be like formal uprights. Maybe you guys could tell me what y'all think I should do, but look at the difference between the two and see what you think looks best from looking around at some of the other trees out there. So that's what's kind of going on with that. Now, tomorrow I get the last pieces of my rig coming in. These two long boxes here is two 4-foot daylight spectrum, par spectrum wavelength, 4-foot LED fluorescence. And this rigging gear down here, combined with the shipment that is due tomorrow, I've got a shipment coming in tomorrow of more of those type goodies. It's going to build the rig that I was talking about a couple of days ago, or actually last week. That's going to wrap this rail all the way around. And the things that are showing up are 8 of those guys. Those are scaffolding leveling jacks. And I ordered a bundle of 8 of them. So 3 or 4 will go under this side, and 3 or 4 will go under that side, and all of that stuff will go on top of them to bolt them to those shelving boards, which are going to be that, and that's going to be what we're going to use to shelve the bonsai trees that are then going to be lit by those 2 lights and timed by that little timer. Although I've got to check that out. I'm not really sure what the amperage draw on that timer max is and what the maximum draw of those 2 lights are. I know that I can plug one of those lights into the other, but then if I plug that one into the timer, that means all of that amperage is going to be running through that timer, and it may not have that much of a ceiling. But then if I have to, if I burn that timer up, then it'll have to be 2 timers. And I can make that neat, but it won't be as neat right off. I'll probably, since I don't have the paperwork for that timer, I'll probably burn it up just to see if I can do it the way I want to. And then I'll go get 2 timers after it does. And then I'll divide the lines up and run them with zip ties and try to make all that as neat as it would have been ordinarily the way I wanted to do it before. But those, while I'm talking about timers, when you go and purchase a timer like that, if you were to purchase a timer like that, you might get a timer like that at a hardware store to turn the lights on the light in front of the house, so that anybody driving by would just see that you're not know that you're on vacation or whatever. But you might also use that to turn your lights on and off to indicate the daylight hours for a grow light. Now, while you're going to do that, if you're going to be using a timer like that, and when you go to a hardware store and buy those, you will see about 4 or 5 timers that all look exactly alike, and they will be about $20 difference in price. And you're going, well, why would I pay the extra $20 when I can't even see? It's like you're going to stand there and read that package for 15 minutes to try to figure out what the differences are. Well, let me just tell you, one of the differences is this one costs $4 more than the one without a ground on the plug. And if you're just going to use it to plug in the light that's on the nightstand next to the couch that they can see from the road, then okay, fine, whatever. But if you're using this to power a light next to a watering can, get the one with a ground on it. Just a little tip. Now, also, I guess while I got you guys here, a little quick thing. Who am I and what am I doing here? Well, I'm Patricia O'Connor. I'm 62 years old, and I spent 38 years as a rigger, grip electrician in the motion picture industry. I know how to build and erect things. I know how to make things to where they won't fall over, fall off, fall on somebody, or break. I know how to mount something heavy next to something fragile and not hurt either one of them, be it people or be it relics. I know how to restore stuff. I know how to grow stuff. So, with my background in growing, my love of bonsai, and my background as a theatrical rigger for 38 years, I think I'm just the girl to tell anybody who wants to do bonsai, be they an old person like me, be they a girl like me, be they an apartment dweller like me, you can still have fantastic bonsai. And together, I'm not going to say I'm going to show you how. Together, we're going to do this, and I'm going to show you, hopefully the first time out, what works. And if not, you'll just have to keep watching so that we watch these babies and see whether or not they stay healthy or whether it looks like I'm spinning my wheels. And to that extent, life's about adjustments. But the whole thing is when all of these little pieces are put together, we should have lights that come on about the time the sun comes up, and we should have lights that go off about the time the sun goes down. We should have a shelf that doesn't interfere with what the apartment has built, that won't touch their stuff. It'll be freestanding, as will our lights. And we will have addressed or not had any water issues, and we'll tell you what we've done about those as we go. And we won't have any lighting issues or health issues with our plants. And we'll be letting you know what we've learned about that as we go. So, with that, also, I am currently at 98 subscribers. Yeah, a little baby milestone is bumping right up. So, if you haven't liked and subscribed, you could be 100 or 99 or 115. We're going to be doing this for a while. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and check back with us on the Bonsai Balcony.